completed many sponsored and consultancy projects. He was the PI of the power quality conditioning sponsored by DST under FIST scheme. Amount was 100 lakh in the year 2008 to 12. He has developed power electronics and microprocessor based many educational units for the laboratory of the department. He has supervised more than 30 PhD and more than 100 MTech candidates. He is having more than 200 published papers in the reputed journals. His current research interests include power electronics, smart grid, multi-level converters, and the power quality improvement techniques. Now, thank you, sir, for being with us. We will be lucky to have your lecture today.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Amrish. Uh, my brief introduction is I am a faculty and I am involved in the teaching of electrical engineering, mainly power electronics and all related subjects, drives, power quality, and so on. And today, the very first lecture is on power electronic converters, an overview of power electronic converters. In fact, in this particular short-term program, faculty development program, I was just going through the list of the speakers. Most of the speakers are my students, so I think they will discuss in detail about different topics. But today I'll try to cover the entire power electronic converter in brief. One thing I just want to say, sometimes the slide doesn't move. So in case if it happens, please point out. Okay, is the slide visible to all?
Yes, sir. First slide is visible.
Okay. So let's start with the power electronic converters. It's not only AC to DC, but it includes all conversion. The very first thing that comes in one's mind is what is this power conditioning? These power converters, they are basically meant for power conditioning. And what is power conditioning? And for that, we know that the power which is available to a user, that power is basically raw in nature, in the sense it is of fixed frequency, fixed voltage supply with plus minus some percentage variation. And if you have a DC supply, then the battery voltage is also fixed. That single phase supply maybe is you required by small consumers and three-phase supply for the industrial. And the DC supply is also used by different your electric vehicles. But there is a demand. There is a demand for conditioned power in the industry as well as by the user. What is the meaning of conditioned power? Conditioned power means the power which is actually required for the load. Like if you consider this particular system, I request others to please switch off their mic. I request everyone to please switch off their mic. Okay, fine. So let's consider this simple application where you have a mechanical load which is driven by a machine, and this machine is given a power from a power source. Power source may be AC power source, may be DC power source. depending upon the availability. But the machine may be a DC machine, may be an AC machine. And depending upon the type of the machine, it needs a particular type of power. Say, for example, if it is a DC machine and you want to control the speed of DC machine, you need a variable DC voltage. If it is AC machine, like synchronous or induction, you need a variable voltage, variable frequency supply. But the source may not be, source is raw in nature, and therefore one power electronic converter is connected in between, which converts the input power, which is raw in nature, to the controlled power required by the machine. And in that way, this power converter controls the flow of power from the source to the load. And to do all this particular control, there is a control system which takes input from the source, like electrical variables, from the load side, the electrical variables, and the mechanical variables. Mechanical variables include your speed or the torque or maybe position. Electrical variables, your voltage and the current. And then there is one command input from the user. And then this control system process all these variables and generate the necessary signals for the power converter. And then the power converter controls the flow of power from the source to the load. So this is a general application. In doing this conversion from input to the output, there may be a change of nature of power. DC may become AC, AC may become DC. So it involves both power conversion, AC to DC or DC to AC. Control is highly efficient and reliable in this sense, because these power converters, they are made of switches, and ideally when the switch is on, the voltage drop across the switch is 0, and when the switch is off, the current through this switch is 0, and in either case the power loss in this switch is 0 ideally, and that's why these converters are efficient in nature. All of you are aware about different type of AC to DC, DC to AC and other converters. And if you recall all those converters, they can be considered as a network of semiconductor switches, power semiconductor switches. Switches may be uncontrolled, like diode, where you have no control on its switching on and switching off operation. Depending upon the load, the diode may be on or off. Maybe semi-controlled, like silicon controlled rectifier. The switch on instant is in your control, but switching off is decided by other factors.
Sir, slide is not changing, I think.
Not moving.
No, sir.
Okay, let me.
Yes, now it is coming.
Okay, so I'll keep it like this. Fine. Can I keep it like this? Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, so your switches may be uncontrolled or semi-controlled SCR. Semi-controlled means you can control only the switch on instant, but not the switch off instant. And it may be a fully controlled switch where both on and off instant can be controlled, like GTO, MOSFET, IGBTs, and other latest devices, silicon carbide. So present day power electronic converters, they basically make use of these fully controlled devices. A generic power converter, as we have seen, it is a network of switches, can be shown like this, where you have a source, a load, and in between you have a network of 5 switches, S0, S1, S2, S3, and S4. Source may be AC or DC. The polarity is shown just to indicate that in this direction the source voltage is measured. Load and the load current polarity is also indicated. Now there are several possible combinations in which we can close and open these switches. Like if you see this one, if you close switch S1 and S2, then input voltage appears across the load. So the output voltage will be same as input voltage, that is state 1. If you close S3 and S4, then the input voltage appears across the load in a reverse manner, that is minus Vi, that is state 2. And if you open all these switches and close S0, then the output voltage will be 0, that is state 0. Similarly, when it is in a freewheeling mode, then there will be no current from the source, so the current input current is 0. When S1 and S2 are on, then the input current is same as the load current, so it is like this. And when S3 and S4 are on, then the input current is just opposite to the load current, like this. Now we can represent this entire thing in using three variables, A, B, and C. A variable is for S0 switch. 1 means S0 is on, 0 means S0 is off. B variable is for S1 and S2, and C is for S3 and S4. And then we can represent this output voltage as A bar B minus C Vi. Like if it is a state 0, so S0 is closed, A is 1, A bar becomes 0, so the output voltage becomes 0. And similarly, the input current becomes 0. So we can represent output voltage and input current, which is a reflection of the load current, in this particular using these two equations. And now depending upon ABC, we can have different conversions like AC to DC conversion. So your input voltage is sinusoidal, and then if you want DC, you can close S1 and S2 in the first half cycle. Then the input voltage appears across the load. You can close S3 and S4 in the second half cycle. Then the reverse input voltage appears across the load. So the output voltage is a rectified one. It is a full wave rectification. You can close it at different instant. Then it will become a phase controlled one. So you are converting AC to DC, and you can notice that it is not an ideal DC, it is a rippled DC. Similarly, if you want to convert DC to AC, your source is DC and the load requirement is AC. You can close S1 and S2, output is same as input. Then you can close S3 and S4, output is same as input in a reverse manner. So you have an alternating output voltage across the load, but it is not a sinusoidal one. You can have AC to AC conversion where input voltage is AC and you want output voltage like this. So you can have state 0, state 1, state 0, state 1 alternately. State 1 means output is same as input, whether it is positive or negative. State 0 means output is 0. Now, if you see this particular voltage output, it is alternating in nature. Its RMS value one can control, but the frequency of this remains same as the input frequency. So it is basically AC regulator. And if you have 0101 at a higher speed, how it is achieved, that is secondary thing. But if you switch on and switch off 0 and 1 again and again, you will get a chopped output voltage. This is your AC chopper. If you want DC to DC conversion, Just like AC to AC, you have state 0, state 1. So output is basically a pulse DC. Average voltage can be controlled depending upon on and off time. It means as far as AC to DC power electronic conversion is concerned, we convert AC voltage, which is more or less of fixed frequency and fixed magnitude, to variable DC voltage or maybe a fixed DC voltage. Now, there are two type of loads one may connect to these converters, whether it's a current requirement. It depends on the nature of the current or the voltage applied to the load. It may be a ripple free current requirement, or it may be a ripple free voltage requirement. These requirement basically depends on the application. If you are controlling the speed of, let us say, a DC machine, you want a ripple free load current. If you are trying to get a DC voltage for some application, then constant voltage, then you want a ripple free voltage. So if you want a ripple free current, then a large inductor is connected in series with the load. That makes the current almost ripple free. Voltage may be anything. And if you want a ripple free load voltage, then you have to connect a large capacitor across the load. Current may be of different nature, but voltage will be a ripple free. Let's consider first the phase control converters, where you have constant, or you can say ripple free current requirement. There are several type of converters available, and you can classify them in different ways. One way of classification is whether the converters are single phase or three phase. Depending upon the power supply available, you can have either of the two. Multi-phase converters are also now coming up, but their applications are very limited. Normally, we have single phase and three phase. These converters can be half wave or full wave. Half wave means you are getting the output voltage only in one half cycle of input. Full wave means you are getting the output in both the half cycles of the input. Another classification can be whether the converter is an uncontrolled one or a controlled one. Uncontrolled means you have no control on output voltage. And in this particular case, basically the diodes are used. Uncontrolled diode bridge rectifier. Output voltage is not in your control. Depending upon the input voltage, your output voltage is decided. Controlled converters means where you can control the output voltage as per your requirement. And these converters, they make use of semi-controlled or fully controlled devices along with maybe diodes. When it is a controlled one, there are again two categories, subcategories you can say, whether it is a half controlled or is a fully controlled. Half controlled converter means you are getting the output voltage only in one direction, normally that positive. But if it is a fully controlled, your output voltage can be in the entire range, positive maximum to negative maximum. And you can have single phase, half wave controlled converter, single phase, full wave controlled converter, single phase, half controlled converter, or three phase, fully controlled converter. Any type of converter you can have. There is another way of classifying the converters, and that is on the number of pulses. number of pulse converter. Number of pulse means how many current pulses you are getting in one cycle of the input voltage. It may be a single pulse. A single phase half wave converter is a single pulse. If it is a single phase full wave, it is a 2 pulse. If it is a 3 phase half wave, it is a 3 pulse. If it is a 3 phase full wave, it is a 6 pulse. Like that, you can have 12 pulse, 18 pulse, 24 pulse, 36, up to 48 pulse converters are available. Now, in brief, let us see one particular converter, and that is single phase half wave converter. So you have input voltage, single phase in series with a thyristor, and your load, which is, let us say, inductive load. And we know that these thyristors can be turned on whenever they are forward bias. And it's clear that in the positive half cycle, the device is forward bias. In the negative half cycle, it is reverse bias. So what we generally say, they are triggered at a firing angle alpha. Now, the definition of firing angle, if I ask, normally students say it is the instant when it is triggered, but that is firing instant. Firing angle means it is the angle by which the conduction of thyristor is delayed, and it is measured from the instant when it becomes just forward bias with resistive load. So whether the load is inductive, resistive, or it is having a DC source, whatever may be the case, from this particular zero crossing point of the input, the firing angle is measured. And all of you are aware that, yes, the output voltage will be like this. Conduction goes beyond pi because of the inductance. And one thing which is very much required to understand here is that under steady state condition, if you find out the average voltage across the inductance, that will be 0. So inductor stores the energy when the current is rising, and the inductor releases the energy when the current is going down. So in this way, the average voltage across the inductor is 0. Resistance always consumes the power with whatever may be the nature of this thing. And yes, mathematically we can find out what will be the average output voltage. And the nature of the current is like this. And this current is basically unidirectional in nature. Now, if a unidirectional current flows like this, normally this supply is taken from, it is taken through a transformer, maybe a 2-winding transformer, a step up or step down. But if a DC current or a unidirectional current flows through the transformer winding, the transformer gets saturated, and the voltage waveform will no longer be sinusoidal. So what is done? Instead of half wave, we go for full wave, where we have two thyristors like this. One conducts in one half cycle and another conducts in another half cycle. And in this way, the output voltage is like this. Method of means analysis is exactly same. It is just like two half wave converters connected in parallel in this manner. And if you see the current, one more thing is, if you keep on increasing the inductance in the load, the current will no longer be have more, like this. It will try to have less ripples. So in a full wave converter, if you have sufficient inductance in the load, this current becomes almost constant. And this constant current, when it is referred to the primary side, it is alternating in nature, you can see here. So for 180-degree period, this conducts. For another 180-degree period, this conducts, assuming continuous conduction and constant load current, and your input current is like this. You can notice that this input current is alternating, but it is not sinusoidal. It is having fundamental component plus harmonics. That fundamental component of the current shown in the figure and the input voltage, you can see there is a delay, there is an angle between the two, and that is your fundamental power factor angle phi 1. So fundamental displacement factor is cos of alpha or cos phi 1. Rather than using this type of converter where you have a center tap transformer, we use a bridge converter where you have 4 devices, but there is no center tap transformer. Transformer is there, but it is a 2-winding transformer without any center tap. And in the same manner, either these 2 thyristors conduct together or these 2 thyristors conduct together. Output voltage is like this, similar to the previous case, and the input current is like this. It is a square one. So when these 2 thyristors conduct, current basically flows like this. And when these 2 thyristors conduct, the current flows in the reverse direction. So you can have either center tap transformer or a bridge converter. As I said earlier, that the current is alternating, but it is not sinusoidal, and it is having fundamental plus harmonics. What are harmonics? Harmonics are basically the additional frequencies present that are integral multiple of the fundamental frequency. So if you have 50 hertz supplied, you can say 100 hertz, 150, 200. These are the integral multiple of the fundamental frequency. So any distorted waveform which is non-sinusoidal, but that is periodic in nature, you can always use Fourier series and find out what are the different components present in the current waveform. And these harmonics, they are basically described as a harmonic spectrum with magnitude and the phase angle of each individual harmonic component. There is one term called total harmonic distortion, and this is used to define how much harmonic current is present or the voltage is present in any waveform. So that total harmonic distortion is basically all harmonics put together, RMS value, divided by the fundamental current RMS. So that is THD. Ideally, there should be no harmonic and THD should be 0. All second, third, fourth, all harmonics put together, that becomes the harmonic component, which we can represent like this. And if it is presented as a ratio of fundamental, then it is the total harmonic distortion. If you consider this particular waveform, which is a square waveform, this square waveform, if you do the harmonic analysis, you have only odd order harmonic components, fundamental, third, fifth, seventh, ninth, 11th, and so on. And the magnitude keeps on changing, keeps on reducing with the harmonic order 1 by n. So third is 1/3, fifth is 1/5, seventh is 1/7, and so on. And if you want to understand that whether all these harmonics are present or not, there is one figure here. If you consider only fundamental, third and fifth and combine them, you will get a resultant waveform which is like this. If you take harmonics up to 7th, you can see it becomes like this. If you take harmonics up to 11th, it will become like this. You can see that gradually it is approaching towards square wave. If you take harmonics up to 13, it becomes like this. Up to 7, your 15th, and then 17th. Yeah, this one is 19th, 17th, and then 19th. So as the order of, as you consider more and more harmonic in, then sum of all those harmonics will basically lead to your square waveform. So the square waveform is having all odd order harmonics. Remember, all odd order harmonics, and their magnitudes are 1 by n of the fundamental. I have one or two simulated waveforms. So this is your fully controlled converter consisting of 4 thyristors. So here this is the output voltage, and these are the switching spikes. Whenever the devices are turned on, then these switching spikes come. One pair is turned on, another pair is turned off. And if you see the spectrum of this, it is the output voltage which is having DC component. Then even harmonics are present in this 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th. And in the current also you have even harmonics, your fundamental current, DC, then you have 2nd harmonic, 4th, 6th, like this. And on the AC side, the voltage is sinusoidal. Of course, these switching spikes are there, but the fundamental component is there. These switching spikes are of very, very high frequency order. That's why they are not seen in this spectrum. And if you see the current, because it is the reflection of this current, which is not a pure DC, it is a rippled DC, and therefore its reflection is also having ripples. But it is having fundamental, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and so on. So the point which is to be noticed here is that on AC side, you have only odd order harmonic components present. On DC side, you have even order harmonic components present. And as far as input displacement factor is concerned, it is cos of alpha. You can also find out input power factor. I don't have the slide, but input power factor means it is the active power output upon the RMS power input. And that input power factor is a product of input displacement factor, that is cos of phi 1, into distortion factor, which is the RMS value, it depends on the harmonics present. If you use a freewheeling diode, you can recall that the input current becomes like this. There will be no current drawn when the voltage is like 0. And in this way, if you find out the fundamental current, that fundamental current is now lagging the voltage by angle alpha by 2. So input displacement factor has become cos of alpha by 2. Like that, input power factor has also improved. So effect of freewheeling diode is to improve the input power factor. And if you see the actual harmonic spectrum of this, yes, output will have even harmonics and the input will have odd order harmonics. Voltage is nearly sinusoidal, but the current is having harmonics. One point which is also to be remember is that only the fundamental input current is responsible for the active power flow. And the reason is the input voltage is sinusoidal. So power is basically V into I. If you take the product of fundamental voltage with the fundamental current, and find out the average over a period, it is non-zero, Vi cos phi. But if you take the product of fundamental voltage with third harmonic, with fifth harmonic, seventh harmonic, and find out the average over a period, it will be zero. It indicates that only the fundamental source current is responsible for the active power flow from the source to the load. I am talking of only AC to DC, but even in this case also, we know that if the firing angle, in case of full control, if the firing angle goes beyond 90 degree, power flow is possible in the reverse direction, but there is one necessary condition, and that is if firing angle becomes more than 90 degree, power flow is possible in the reverse direction, but for that there must be a DC source present in this circuit of proper polarity and magnitude, because power cannot be generated like this. It has to come from an active source. So there must be a DC source present. And what will be the polarity? It should be negative up, positive down. Then only the power can go from battery to the supply. In all these waveforms, we have considered the source to be an ideal one. But as I said, normally the input is taken through a transformer. So transformer impedance comes into picture. And because of the transformer impedance, your input current never goes instantaneously from one level to another level. The resistance may not change. The resistance is fine. Resistance allows the current to change instantaneously from one level to another level on input side. But if you have inductance, then the current goes from one level to another level gradually. It is something like if 1 and 4 are conducting, fine, there is a constant current, so drop across these inductances are 0. But when you trigger 2 and 3, then the current direction through these inductances change. But that change is not instantaneous. What happens? All these 4 devices, they conduct together. It is something like supply gets shorted, and during that period, shorting period, the current through inductor changes. So if you see the actual current, it is like this. Rather than a sharp change from minus to plus or plus to minus, there is a gradual change. This gradual change is not actually linear. It depends on the source inductance and resistance. And during this period, when the current is going from negative to positive or positive to negative, the source gets shorted and therefore the output voltage becomes 0. Although if you find out the harmonic spectrum of this particular current, it is better than the square wave. You can see that it is more closer to your sine wave as compared to square one. In a similar manner, if we can have 3-phase converter where we have 6 thyristors like this, and we know that the devices are numbered 1, 3, 5, 4, 6, 2, and the very reason why the devices are numbered like this is that if the phase sequence is RYB, then these devices are triggered in a sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need not to remember. If you keep the phase sequence this and the devices are numbered like this, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the sequence in which the devices conduct. And at any time, we know that 2 devices conduct 1 and 6, then 1 and 2, 2 and 3, then 3 and 4, then 4 and 5, then 5 and 6, and output voltages of this nature. You can have, depending upon the firing angle, your output voltage may, average output voltage may be 0 if it is 90 degree. If it is, it should be more than 90. It is more than 90, not less. If it is more than 90, average output voltage will be negative. And if it is less than 90, average output voltage will be positive. But even in this three-phase bridge converter, one thing you can remember, that you can draw the input current waveform, and that input current depends whether 1 is conducting or 4 is conducting. So each device conducts for 120 degree, and therefore the input current is quasi-square in nature. And if you find out its fundamental component, it is like this, that red color. As far as input power factor is concerned, or the displacement factor first, input displacement factor is basically defined angle which this current is making with the R phase voltage, not with the line voltage. R phase current, R phase voltage, and with respect to current, with respect to this phase voltage, this angle is always alpha. So even in case of three-phase bridge converter, input displacement factor is cos of alpha, like single phase. You can also find out input power factor, which is active power upon RMS input power, and that comes out to be 3 upon pi cos alpha, which is 3 upon pi is your distortion factor into cos alpha, which is your input displacement factor. These are the simulated waveforms. You can see load voltage. It is basically a rippled DC. It is having DC component. Then sixth harmonic. See, in case of a 2-pulse converter, you were having second, fourth, sixth like this. But here it is sixth one is the lowest one. And the reason is you have 6 pulses in 1/2 cycle, and therefore the order is 6. There you have 2 pulses in one cycle, and that's why the lowest was of second order. As far as input current is concerned, input voltage and the current, voltage will have spikes. If you neglect these spikes, okay, you have only the fundamental voltage. And if you see the input current, which is now quasi-square, and you do the harmonic analysis, it is having fundamental, 5th, 7th, 11th, 13th, odd order harmonics other than triplets. Third harmonics are not present. You can see there is no scope of flowing of third harmonic because all the third harmonics are in phase. So there must be a written path, and which is not there. So you have only the fundamental, then 5th, 7th, then 11th, 13th, then 17th, 19th, and so on. Just like single phase converter, here also that the converter is connected to the supply through either star star or star delta or delta star or delta delta transformer. So the transformer impedance comes in picture, and because of the transformer impedance, the transition from one level to another level is not instantaneous. What happens? Both the outgoing and the incoming phase, they conduct together. Like here, if say 5 and 6 are in conduction initially, so current is flowing through B and Y phase. And if you trigger 1, so 1 and 6 are supposed to come. But 1 and 6 will not come instantaneously. Initially 5 and 6 are conducting, so current is flowing like this. When you trigger 1, 1 and 5 both will conduct along with 6. Current through 1 will be of increasing nature, current through 5 will be of decreasing nature, and the current through 6 remains the same. So when the three devices conduct, then the output voltage will neither be one line to line voltage incoming or outgoing, but it will be the average of the two, and that's what you can see here. So there is a reduction in the output voltage. And once the transition is complete, then 1 and 6 will conduct as desired, and therefore the output voltage will be Ry. If you do the harmonic spectrum analysis of this one, so your load current is quasi-square. This is the actual current. And because of the transformer, you have these transitions. If you find out the harmonic spectrum, you have fundamental, 5th, 7th, 11th, 13th, and so on. And THD is 28.45%. Normally, these converters are connected either through star delta or delta star transformer. So if you see the primary side current in case of delta star, primary side current is like this. These current levels are basically 2/3 of I naught, or 2 by root 3 of I naught, 1 by root 3 of I naught, like that. So plus minus. In the very first look, it appears that the harmonic spectrum of this will be different than the harmonic spectrum of this. No. Whatever harmonics are present on secondary side, this side, same harmonics will be present on the primary side. Transformer doesn't change the harmonic spectrum. But why the shape is different? Shape is different because some of the harmonics, their sign gets changed. Like 5th and 7th, their sign gets changed. Similarly, 17th and 19th, their signs get changed. And if you add those current harmonics, you will get this type of current waveform rather than this one. So in the first look, it appears that the current harmonics are different in the two, but they are not. They are same. They are same. And you can go from 6 pulse to 12 pulse. And in this case, what is done? There are two converters which are 6 pulse converter. They are connected either in parallel, but one converter is fed through delta Y, another is fed through delta delta. Or you may connect them in series. So star 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 delta. The point is that one of the secondary is same as the primary. If this is star, this is also star. Another secondary is different. And if you see the input current in this case and the output voltage, because of this star delta, there is an automatic 30-degree phase shift in the line-to-line voltages of two systems. It means the output of this converter and output of this converter, it will be same, but 30-degree shifted. And if you add these two voltages, you will get 12 pulse output. Similarly, the input current, it will not be quasi-square. From this side, yes, it is quasi-square. And from this star delta, you have this 1/3, 1 by root 3, 2 by root 3 type of levels. And if you add these two currents, you will get 12 pulse. You can see that the current is now more close to sinusoidal one. And if you see the harmonic spectrum of this particular current waveform, it is having fundamental, then 11th, 13th, no 5th and 7th. fifth and seventh from this side gets cancelled by fifth and seventh from this side due to reversal of fifth and seventh nature. So you have fundamental, then 11, 13, then 23rd, 25th, and so on. This is the practical 12 pulse converter waveform, and you can see fundamental. Basically, it should have 11, 10, 13. This fifth and seventh, very small amount you are getting due to, you can say because of the transformer action, your current is not, it is different than the ideal one. 17 and 19, they are also negligible, but 23rd and 25th, yes, they are present. In general, it is called NP plus minus 1, the harmonics. P is the number of pulse, N is any number. So you can have NP plus minus 1 order of harmonics. So from single pulse to 2 pulse to 6 pulse to 12 pulse, you have noticed that there is a improvement in the current waveform. You can go for higher pulse also, like 18 pulse, 24 pulse, but there you need a special type of transformer where the phase shift is different. In star delta, we may naturally get 30-degree phase shift, but if we want phase shift of 20-degree or 15-degree, then we cannot get from star delta. We have to have this type of transformer called polygon transformer, where each secondary is having two parts having different number of turns, and these turns we can calculate as per the phase shift requirement. Like in 18 pulse converter, we can have 3 converters, 6 pulse, but there should be a phase change of 20-degree between the two. How to get 20-degree phase shift? We may use these type of special transformers. So 20-degree, then 0, then minus 20, and therefore the output voltages of these 3 are 20-degree phase shifted. Similarly, the reflection of the current towards input side, they are also shifted by 20-degree secant. This is from the first one, this is from the second one, this is from the third one, and if you add these 3 current, the current is very close to sine wave. So like this, we can go from 18 pulse to 24 to 30, 36, 48. That is the limit. This is for 24 pulse converter realized using 4 bridge converters, and you can see gradually the THD is also going down and down. So as I said, Pn plus minus 1, this is the order of the harmonic present, and P the number of pulses, N is any constant. So you can have 6 pulse, 12 pulse, 18 pulse converters, and the order we can find out from here. Let me skip one thing. Okay. Now, here you have seen all the nature of the load is a constant current, but you can have a constant out voltage requirement. We connect a large capacitor across the load. Now, because of the capacitor, what happens? Whenever the input voltage exceeds the capacitor voltage, then only current is drawn. So, near the peak, the current is drawn. Similarly, in this case, when the line-to-line voltage exceeds the capacitor voltage, then the current is drawn. So there are 2 current pulses in both half cycles. These current pulses, they are having dominant third harmonic in this one. Dominant third harmonic, it is peaky in nature. If you see the spectrum, you have third harmonic, which is 73.5%, and all odd order harmonics are present. So there is another category of converters, I'll come to that, where you want, where a capacitor is connected across the load. Say the aim is to make the input current sinusoidal, so that only the active power flows from the source to the load. There are different techniques to improve the input power factor. You can have fully controlled converters with controlled freewheeling. You can have asymmetrical triggering. You can have sequence control of converters. You can have sequence control of converters with controlled freewheeling. You can have four-legged converter. All these are based on SCR, which is basically a line commutated device. But if you include forced commutation, you can have extinction angle control, symmetrical angle control, pulse width modulation. Let us see one by one quickly. Extinction angle control means normally we control the firing angle, but in this case we control the angle when we want to switch off the device. So these devices are not actually thyristors, they are basically self-commutated switches, fully controlled switches. And if you switch on the devices at 0 and switch off at any angle, let us say pi minus beta, what happens? The input current is of this nature. So now the fundamental current is a leading current. So this converter, it is not making the input current sinusoidal, but it is making the input current leading as compared to other cases. So what is done? This particular type of converter one can use along with the normal load, which draws lagging current, this draws leading current. So the net current coming from the source, that becomes nearly in phase with the voltage. You can have symmetrical angle control, where you can control both the switching instant as well as switching off instant. So what happens? The input current is like this. Just by controlling this pulse width, one can control the output voltage. But you can notice that as far as fundamental current is concerned, it will always be like this, means it will always be in phase with the voltage. So your input displacement factor will always be unity. Although other harmonics are present and you don't have any control on those harmonics. But if you want to make the input current having lesser harmonics, you can go for multiple pulse modulation. So instead of single pulse, you can have multiple pulses in both the half cycles. Still, the fundamental current will be like this, in phase with the voltage, but its harmonic spectrum will be better than the single pulse modulation. You can also have sinusoidal pulse width modulation, where these pulses are not of same width, but they are proportional to sine of the pulse position. This is having better spectrum as compared to here, where all these pulses are of equal width. But in all these schemes, you can still notice that we can make the input displacement factor unity, but the input current is still in the form of pulses. If you want to make input current sinusoidal, basically we go for the active power converter, where active power factor circuit, where you have simple boost power factor converter, uncontrolled rectifier, and a switch and an inductor. You can close the switch, so the current through inductor increases. You open the switch, current through inductor reduces. like here. Switch is closed, current increases, switch is open, then the current reduces. Now, if opening and closing of the switch is controlled as per the requirement, you can have any desired current from the source. So what normally we want sinusoidal current, so we can take sinusoidal current as a reference, and then we can compare this particular current with the actual current. And if the actual current is less, we can switch on this device. If the actual current is more, we can switch off this device. So within a particular band, we can vary the actual current that follows the reference current. And for that, how to generate that reference current? We can have output voltage control loop. Reference voltage compared with the actual voltage, error is processed in a controller, and then it basically gives you the peak value of the current requirement. And when it is multiplied with the rectified sine wave, you will get the desired reference current. Desired current that flows through this inductor. And this desired reference current is compared with the actual current. You can see here. This current is compared with the actual current, and then the pulses are generated. So if you see the harmonic spectrum of the volt current, it is basically having only fundamental component. Similar type of structure can be used here where it is a voltage doubler, but again the current is sinusoidal as well as in phase with the voltage, like this. Method is same. You compare the actual voltage with the reference voltage. It gives you the peak value of the current, and that peak value of the current is used to generate reference current by multiplying it with the unit amplitude sine wave, and then it is compared with the actual source current, and within a hysteresis band, these switches are turned on and off, either this or this. So one combination gives current increasing, another gives current decreasing, and in this way the actual current is controlled like this. We can have a three-phase converters also using these switches. It may be a current source type of converter where the load is basically having an inductor, or you can have a voltage source type of converter where the load is having a capacitor. This is more popular as compared to current source converter. If you look this particular converter from this side, it appears to be an inverter where you have a DC voltage, you have a three-phase inverter, and then this you can say is the load. So the operation of this converter and a three-phase voltage source inverter are exactly same. What is done? We want to make this particular current sinusoidal, current through the inductor sinusoidal. So we control this particular voltage. And this voltage we can control with the help of this control block. So normally, if you recall sinusoidal PWM modulation, which is used, and in that we have a sinusoidal signal compared with the triangular carrier wave, and then the pole voltage is plus minus Vd by 2. In fact, just like inverter, if you take the center point of the capacitor as 0, so you have plus Vd by 2 minus Vd by 2 depending upon upper switch is on or the lower switch is on. So if the modulating magnitude is like this, your resultant voltage is this. If the magnitude of the modulating signal reduces, it becomes like this. If it is further reduces, it becomes like this. Whatever is the shape this thing, if you find out its fundamental component is same as the modulating signal, and therefore we can say a source, inductor, and a modulating signal, modulating voltage, they are connected. It is just like a simple circuit where source voltage is modulating voltage plus drop across this inductor, and this we can use to V is equal to V modulating plus j omega xs is, j omega ls is. Now, if you want current in phase with the voltage, then modulating signal should be of this magnitude and lagging by an angle delta. If you want inverter operation, means the modulating signal should lead the input voltage. If you want to use it as capacitor, modulating signal will be in phase with the voltage and magnitude is like this. If you want to work as your inductor, pure inductor, then the modulating signal will be in phase but its magnitude is less. Means this particular converter can be used to operate at unity power factor rectification as rectifier, or as unity power factor inverter, or at zero power factor lagging load or a leading one. You can have instantaneous current control also. You can generate the 3 reference currents, and you can compare with the 3 actual currents, and through this hysteresis type of controller you can generate the pulses. So if you see the current waveform, in this case it is like this. There are different waveforms. This one, someone is with hysteresis control, someone is with your PI control, someone is with P control alone. They have their own advantages and disadvantages, but in all the cases the actual current tries to follow the reference current. Just like converters, we can have AC to AC converters where we have AC regulator, cycloconverter, or a matrix converter. AC regulator, yes, 2 anti-parallel thyristors connected like this, and we can trigger them at firing angle alpha. The output voltage is like this. So its fundamental component is of same frequency, only the magnitude is being controlled. Remember one thing, in AC to DC converter, we try to make the load current continuous, but in this case, we have to keep the current discontinuous, then only the control is possible. If the current becomes continuous, then the load is connected to the source directly, no control is achieved. Similar to, okay, this is the simulated waveform. Again, you have voltage and the current, they have the harmonics, all odd order harmonics are present. You can also have 3-phase configurations where they can be connected in line, in series with the load, or if the load is delta connected, they can be connected like this, or you may connect here 1 thyristor, 1 diode, here anti-parallel thyristors are connected, or you may connect in this configuration. This configuration is the most popular one. In fact, this one where the thyristors are here and you have the load. Now here the load can be star, load can be delta, it all depends. It has nothing to do with the control. But unlike your single phase converter, in this case, you cannot control the voltage of any particular phase separately. You have to control the line to line voltage, and that's why triggering of any thyristor depends on other two phases. So current can flow through this and it must return through this or through this. So the switching of these thyristors, one has to see how they, what type of voltage is required, what is the firing angle, and for a particular firing angle, this is corresponding to firing angle 30. This is the line, your phase voltage. If you keep on reducing the firing angle 0, finally the load voltage will be same as the source voltage. You can have AC chopper where you have two devices, either S1 is on or S2 is on. So depending upon if S1 is on, voltage is applied to the load. When S1 is off, S2 is on, and freewheeling period takes place. So this is done again and again. It is used to improve the input power factor. Like AC to AC your AC regulator, we can have a, remember, okay, coming back to this. Now, in all these AC regulator and AC chopper, only the magnitude of the fundamental voltage is being controlled. But normally, when you consider an induction machine for speed control, you need a variable frequency. So you can go for cycloconverters, maybe single phase, maybe three phase. But basic configuration is like this. You can see here, each phase voltage is basically controlled by this particular one. And it is nothing but a dual converter, two converters connected in anti-parallel. So dual converter makes the output voltage positive, negative, and current can flow in either direction. Means all the four quadrant operation are possible. So one can control the voltage of this across this one, across this one, and across this one by three different converters. And if you control them, you can have the output voltage like this. You can see there are multiple input cycles, but there is a fundamental output voltage only. It means the frequency of the output is much smaller than the frequency of the input. Ideally, we cannot increase the frequency beyond 1/3 of the input frequency. So if you have 50 hertz supply, you can have at the most 16.66 hertz. If you try to achieve the output frequency more than 16.66, your distortion level will become too much, and then waveform, it will be of not much use. You can control the magnitude. You can see here. Here the firing angle is changing from gradually from one cycle to another cycle. Similarly, here you can see firing angle is changing from 90 to 0, then 0 to 180, then again from 180 to 0. Here the firing angle is not going up to 0, it is less than 0 all throughout. But it is continuously changing, and you are getting a variable output voltage and variable frequency. If you do the harmonic spectrum of the cycloconverter input current, it is having interharmonics, because cycle to cycle waveform is changing, and therefore, unlike your converter where you have fifth harmonic, then the input current is of this. Here you have harmonic which may be of 5.2 fraction is there. This is your interharmonics. It is not an integral multiple of fundamental frequency. But using cycloconverter, you can only have frequency reduction. And as I said, it can go up to 1/3 maximum of the input frequency. But if you want higher frequency and you want frequency more than even supply frequency, then we go for matrix converter. So here you have the load and the source, and the load is connected to the source through a matrix converter. It is, you can say, 3x3 matrix converter, which is having bidirectional 9 switches. And these switches can be turned on and on to control the voltage of any particular phase. The fundamental method of controlling the phase voltage is that using these 3 input voltages, we switch on these devices in such a manner that in a particular short period, you may say sampling period, the average of the voltages is same as the voltage required by the load. Voltage required by the load may be positive, negative, 0, and of different magnitude in that particular short interval. And to achieve that particular desired voltage, we can make use of these 3 input voltages, and we can switch on these devices so that the voltage across that particular phase is met. So it is a computational, you can say, method of controlling this one. You have output voltage, you have the input voltage, and this is the switching matrix, which basically depends on your control technique. And if you see the current here, your output voltage frequency is much smaller than the input frequency. You are getting like this. And here your input frequency is higher than your output frequency is higher than the input frequency. Within a cycle, you have multiple switchings. So, sorry, here the frequency is high and here the frequency is low. So you can have any frequency as per your requirement. We can have a DC to DC converters also. And again, in this case, just like AC to DC converters, output requirement may be a constant current or constant voltage. So if it is a constant current, we have inductor. So it is a single quadrant chopper. You can have 2 quadrant chopper. You can have 4 quadrant chopper. Not much used now. You can have even a step up chopper also. What is being used these days? You have DC to DC converters where the output voltage is constant. And that's why we can have a buck converter where you have a switch and it is connected to the load through this LC circuit. You can close the switch. If you close the switch, then the output voltage is this particular current freewheels like this. And if you close the switch, the current is flowing through the source. And if you open the switch, then the current freewheels. And by opening and closing the switch, one can control the average output voltage, which is delta times the input voltage. Here the output voltage is always less than the input. You can have boost converter when the position of L switch and the diode are different. And in this case, again, you have either, if the switch is closed, inductor stores the energy, and if the switch is open, then the inductor releases the energy. So the output voltage is basically more than the input. You have the boost. You can have buck boost operation. Again, the position of these devices are in change. So depending upon the duty cycle, your output voltage is either less or it is more than the input one. You can have Cook converter. In fact, in all these buck boost and buck boost, you have power transfer from source to the load is through in your inductor. But in a Cook converter, the power transfer is through a capacitor. And capacitor stores energy, and then the capacitor transfers the energy to the output one. We can also have both buck and the boost operation. Sometimes we need isolation between input and output, so we use flyback type of converter, where the primary and secondary, they are like this, and through this transformer, isolation is achieved between the source and the load. Again, you have the switch is on and switch is off at a higher frequency, just like buck boost converter or buck boost converter. Here also the output voltage can be controlled in both the direction. Then we have inverter, which is basically of two types. One is called voltage source inverter, another is called current source inverter. That voltage source inverter means voltage input is fixed, and inverter converts it into variable frequency voltage. Current depends on the nature of the load. Current source inverter means input current is fixed, and the converter and the current source inverter converts it into variable frequency alternating current, and the voltage depends on the nature of the load. Normally the voltage source inverters are popular like this. You have a full bridge, and either these two devices are triggered or these two, so you have the alternating output voltage. And depending upon the nature of the load, if it is an RL load, when these two are on, current increases like this, and when these two are on, current increases in the reverse direction. So you have like this. Each device is having one anti-parallel diode, and the reason is, say for example, TH1 and TH4 are conducting, current is going like this. You switch off 1 and 4 and trigger 2 and 3, but what happens? Current will not become zero through the load at that instant. Current continues to flow because of the inductance, and the only possible path is through D2 against the supply through D3 like this. Now, since the current is going against the supply, so it will be of decreasing nature. You can see here. And as long as these diodes are conducting, the thyristor 2 and 3, they are reverse bias. So they will not conduct even though you have given the triggering pulse. When the current through diodes will become zero, then these thyristor will become forward biased due to supply voltage, and firing pulse is available all throughout. They will go into conduction, and the current increases like this. Same thing happens when you switch off 3 and 4 here, sorry, 2 and 3 here. 2 and 3 are switched off, but the current continues to flow in the same direction and it flows through D1 against the supply D4 like this. And during this period, D1 and D4 conducts, TH1 and TH4, they are reverse bias. But when the current through D1 and D4 becomes 0, then TH1 and TH4, they become forward bias and they go into conduction. Like that, you can have three-phase bridge inverter, where you have 180-degree mode of operation, means each device is triggered for 180-degree period. And the devices are numbered 1, 3, 5, 4, 6, 2, so that your line-to-line voltages are 120-degree phase apart like this. The standard way of drawing this particular waveform is that we first draw the pole voltage, that is voltage of any particular pole, that is the phase, with respect to an arbitrary point. That arbitrary point may be this one, maybe this one, maybe center of the supply. So if it is center of the supply, then depending upon this switch is on, it is plus V by 2, and if the lower switch is on, it is minus V by 2. So if you see the pole voltages, 3 pole voltages, they are like this, and if you find out their difference, it will be quasi-square in nature. Since the waveform is quasi-square in nature, so it is having all odd order harmonics other than triplets. If you have a star connected load, then you can also find out the phase voltage. And for finding the phase voltage, basically you have to see how many devices are conducting, or what, which are the devices conducting at a time. You can see sequence is 6, 1, 2, then you have 1, 2, and 3, then you have 2, 3, 4, then 3, 4, 5, then 4, 5, 6, then 5, 6, 1 again. It means 3 devices are conducting, and corresponding to the devices conducting, if you find out the equivalent circuit, it will be like this or like this. It means the voltage across a particular phase is either V by 3 or 2V by 3 plus or minus. Then you have 120-degree mode of operation, similar to that, but it is not popular in the sense the pole voltage is not well defined. It depends upon the low nature of the load. We can skip this thing. One can control the output voltage of these inverters. One method is you couple the output of the 2 inverters through a transformer. Transformer simply add the 2 voltages, but these voltages may have some phase shift because it is under the control of the user. So you can issue the firing pulses to the inverter in such a manner that there is a phase shift between the output of the 2 inverter. So if it's single phase, you have square wave, but there is a phase shift. And if you add these 2 voltages, it becomes like this. Fundamental voltage of this one is smaller than this one. So in this way, you can control the output voltage of this. Similarly, if you have a 3-phase inverters and you want to control the output voltage, output of this is added to the output of the second with a phase shift. And if the phase shift is 0, it is just like double of that. Phase shift 30 degrees, 60 degree, 90 degree, 120 degree, 150 degree. And when it becomes 180 degree, ideally 0 output voltage. You can also go for the PWM inverters, which is basically used either single pulse modulation or symmetrical multiple pulse modulation or selective harmonic elimination, or you can have sinusoidal pulse modulation. Uh, all these techniques are identical to the techniques which we used to control the input current of single phase converter. In inverter, we are trying to control the load voltage. So rather than a square waveform, your output voltage is like this. This waveform is similar to the input current in case of single phase converter. And just by controlling this pulse width, one can control the fundamental voltage here. In that case, we control the fundamental current. We can have, and this is the harmonic spectrum. Fundamental voltage changes, say sinusoidally, as the pulse width increases, but rest of the harmonics, they keep on changing with pulse width. Sometimes a particular harmonic may become zero, sometimes it may become maximum, but fundamental keeps on increasing with the pulse width. You can have multiple pulses in both half cycles, and by this you may improve the input harmonic spectrum, the harmonic spectrum of the output voltage. There we try to improve the harmonic spectrum of input current. Here we are trying to improve the harmonic spectrum of the output voltage. Fundamentally, both are same. Then we have symmetrical multipulse modulation. Okay, this is the same one. As the number of pulses per half cycle increases, harmonic spectrum will become much better. You can go for the selective harmonic elimination, where we have multiple pulses, and these pulses are not equally spaced, but they are placed at pre-calculated angles B1, B2, B3. So by selecting these pulse positions correctly, we can eliminate certain harmonics. Like the third harmonic is to be eliminated, fifth and seventh. Then the position of the pulses are B1, B2, B3. In fact, in this case, there will be M pulses per quarter cycle if you want to eliminate M lower order harmonics. Normally, we try to eliminate lower order harmonics from the output voltage, not the higher order harmonics. And the reason is the lower order harmonics, they create more, for these harmonics, the load impedance is not high. So the load current will have more these harmonics if they are present in the voltage. But higher order harmonics, even if they are present in the voltage, they may not create problem in the load current, because for higher order harmonics, the load impedance is quite high, and therefore the current is automatically very small. Quite sometimes, if you see the spectrum, the order of these harmonics may be more than the fundamental, but it makes no difference as far as current is concerned, because current is more or less sinusoidal. So in this selective harmonic elimination, we try to eliminate lower order harmonics from the voltage waveform. We can have sinusoidal PWM control also, where the pulses are, the switching instants are produced by comparing the sine wave with the modulating sine wave with the high frequency carrier, and at this intersection point, the pulses are produced. We can have a bipolar control, where the output voltage may be plus minus like this, or we can have unipolar control, where the output voltage is like this. Unipolar control gives better harmonic spectrum, because what happens in this case, the switching frequency is reduced, and the harmonics for the same harmonic spectrum. Or if you keep the switching frequency same, then the harmonic spectrum gets improved. The lowest order harmonic in this case is much higher as compared to bipolar control. We have different type of PWM control in case of three-phase inverters: sinusoidal, selective harmonic elimination, minimum ripple control, your instantaneous current control, hysteresis control, space vector, like that. Sinusoidal control is like this, where we have three modulating sine waves compared with the high frequency triangular wave, and then your line to line voltage is like this. In this case, the problem is, if the modulating wave magnitude increases, a limit will come when the modulating wave and the triangular wave peaks are same. If you increase the modulating wave beyond this, it will no longer be in the linear modulating range, linear operating range. Harmonic spectrum will be different in this over modulation range. So because of that, what happens, the output voltage is less as compared to the square wave operation. If you want to improve the output voltage, there is a method which is called third harmonic injection, where the fundamental voltage plus the third harmonic are added and a new modulating signal is generated. You can see that by adding this third harmonic component, we have reduced the peak of the modulating signal. So after this intersection point, if you see the output voltage, it is like this. It is also having fundamental plus third harmonic similar to the modulating signal. But line to line voltage, it will be free from third harmonic. So normally 25% of the fundamental is added as a third harmonic component in the modulating signal, and you will get the maximum output. Then there is one space vector modulation method, which is a computational intensive PWM method. In fact, in this space vector modulation also, you can increase the output voltage similar to third harmonic injection, but as compared to third harmonic injection, your switching is 30% less. Increase in output voltage from sinusoidal to this one is same, whether there is a third harmonic injection or you have space vector modulation. 78.5% is the maximum output voltage when it is in the linear modulating range. You can increase it to 90% by injecting third harmonic. You can also achieve 91% using space vector modulation, but here the switching is 30% less. That improves the performance of the converter. Because the time is running out, what is done in this space vector modulation, you have basically 6 switches, and using these 6 switches you can have 8 different possible combinations of the switches to be operated. One switch from each leg, and therefore you can have either non-zero vectors, or you can have zero vectors, 0 and 7. And just like matrix converter, where I said that in a particular sampling period, the desired output voltage is achieved by switching different phases for different timings, so that the average of that is the same as the requirement. Similarly, in this case, to get a particular output voltage, we can make use of these vectors and this zero vector. We can switch on these vectors for different periods. That period we can calculate mathematically, and then like this, you can see one phase is switched on for this much, B for this much, C for this much, and in this particular control period, if you find out the average of this one, you will get the desired output voltage. So there are several ways of switching these devices to reduce the switching losses and to get the same output voltage. I'm just closing this one because it will take more time. And okay, one thing which is left out is the multi-level inverter. Although Dr. Sanjeev will consider multi-level inverter in detail, but in brief, the inverters that I have considered, they are the two-level inverters. Two-level because the pole voltage can be either plus VD by 2 or minus VD by 2. If you want higher voltage application, then one method is you use a transformer to step up the voltage, but the transformer cannot be used for variable frequency operation, and therefore we can go for multi-level inverter where each pole can have more than two levels, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, and in that way, without even using transformers, without even switching the devices at higher frequency, we can achieve the output voltage like this. These different levels are obtained using different capacitors connected in different you can have either diode clamped or flying capacitor or cascade. These are, but all these multi-level inverters will be discussed in detail by another speaker. So since the time has already crossed too much, so I'll close this one. And I hope that you must have got some idea about the power converters. That's all from my side. If you have any specific query, I can try to answer. That's all.
So some of the participants there were, what is difference between PWM rectifier and a rectifier?
Rectifier is basically AC to DC conversion. And when we say rectifier, we are basically referring a phase controlled converter where the firing angle is controlled. When we say PWM rectifier, it means instead of SCR or thyristors, we are using fully controlled devices, and we are switching on and off these devices at a higher frequency to make the input current sinusoidal as well as in phase with the voltage, but still it is AC to DC conversion. So that is the difference one can say in a rectifier and a PWM rectifier.
So I think it is a very nice session, sir, from your side. So now the participant, now I request one of my subordinate to hand over a memento to sir. Ready.
He is very much here waiting.
Thank you, sir. Very
Thank you, Dr. Amish. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Say one of the question which a participant has asked, how to calculate the angles in case of selective harmonic elimination. Actually, once we have the voltage waveform or the current waveform, one can do the harmonic analysis and find out the harmonic, the nth harmonic component in terms of different switching angles. And then whichever harmonic you want to eliminate, you can make that particular nth harmonic term 0, like yes, you can see here. These are the different pulses and they are positioned at B1, B2, B3 like this. There are M pulses per quarter cycle. So there are 2 M pulses in half cycle. One can do the harmonic analysis of this and you can find out the nth harmonic voltage, which comes out to be in this form. Whichever harmonic you want to eliminate, that harmonic can be made 0. Like in this case, we want to eliminate 3rd, 5th, and 7th. So we can say this is 0 for 3rd, for in fact it is sign of NBK. N is missing. So sign for the 3rd, 5th, and 7th, these expressions are to be 0. We can solve these equations offline and find out what should be the angle B1, B2, B3. And then we can position these pulses with the help of some processor, and then we can achieve the output voltage free from 3rd, 5th, and 7th. You can notice here fundamental is there, 3rd, 5th, 7th absent, 9th, 13th, 15th, even 11 will also be present. Okay.
Okay, sir. Very much thank you as you have given the consent to be here. Now,
Okay.
all the participants will have the another session with sir on the Friday. On the
Friday, yes.
PowerPoint.
Actually, Dr. Amrish, I just want to point out one thing.
Yes,
My second is on power quality, but
Yes.
tomorrow Dr. Shailen Jain will take this simulation of power quality. So I was just thinking that simulation of power quality is being considered first and actual power quality in later on. Discuss with Dr. Shailen Jain if he can.
Okay, sir. Okay, possible. I will talk to him.
Okay then. Okay then.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, bye.